In the village of Mwenya, nestled between the verdant sweeps of savanna and the dense whispers of distant mountains, a wedding was to take place. The air was thick with anticipation, scented with frangipani and the smoky aroma of roasting meat. Today was the day that Adaeza, the village beauty, known for her laughter which bubbled like a fresh spring, was to wed Cheek, the most eligible bachelor whose strength and kindness were the pride of Mwenye. From the earliest hours of the morning, the village was astir. Women in brightly colored wrappers and headscarves busied themselves with preparations, their movements rhythmic and fluid against the backdrop of pulsating drums. Men set up rows of benches under wide-branched acacia trees, their bark worn smooth by countless celebrations. Adaze stood before a polished bronze mirror in her mother's hut, her reflection framed by walls adorned with tapestries of village lore. Her wedding dress was a masterpiece of weaving, rich with the reds and golds of the earth, cinched at her waist with a belt of cowrie shells. Her hair was woven into intricate braids, each a testament to the patience and skill of her aunts who had worked by the light of oil lamps into the early hours. But beneath the surface of this festive preparation, a tremor of unease ran through Adaze's heart. Last night she had dreamt of the river. Deep and tumultuous it called to her, whispering in a voice that was both strange and familiar. She had woken with a start, the echo of the water's roar in her ears, a lingering dread clutching at her chest. She turned away from her reflection, trying to shake off the remnants of the dream. Today was her wedding day, a day for joy, not for old wives' tales and shadows of fear. Her mother, Neka, noticed the shadow that flickered across her daughter's face and took her hands, her eyes searching Adaze's. "Is everything all right, my child?" Neka asked, her voice laced with concern. Adaze forced a smile, the brightness not quite reaching her eyes. "It's just nerves, Mama. Nothing more." Neka nodded, though her brow furrowed slightly. She knew the ways of the spirits and the omens that often visited in dreams. But today was not a day for dark omens. It was a day of union, of celebration. She brushed a kiss on Adaze's forehead, whispering blessings that were older than the hills that cradled their village. As the sun climbed higher, guests began to arrive. The air vibrated with music, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Adaze's father, Obi, stood tall and proud, welcoming relatives and friends from neighboring villages. His chest swelled with pride as he looked at his daughter, seeing the future of their lineage bright in her eyes. The ceremony was to be held by the sacred baobab, where the ancestors watched from the spirit world. As the time approached, Adaze was led by her young cousins, giggling and excited in their role as her handmaidens. They walked through the village, the path sprinkled with petals by the village children. But as they neared the sacred tree, a sudden wind whipped through the branches, a gust so strong it silenced the drums. The petals swirled around Adaze, sticking to her skin, cold and sudden. Her heart raced, and the river's voice returned, louder this time, drowning out the music and the cheers. She stopped, her eyes wide with terror. The crowd fell silent, watching as the bride, adorned and beautiful, stood frozen. Then without a word, Adaze turned and ran. She ran with a wildness that was uncharacteristic, her wedding dress billowing behind her like a golden storm cloud, her braids coming undone as she disappeared in the dense embrace of the forest. Adaze's feet barely touched the ground. Branches snagged at her dress, thorns tore at her flesh, but nothing could slow her frantic escape. The sky was blotted out by a tapestry of leaves, casting her path into gloom. Her heart pounded in her ears, a staccato drumbeat driving her forward. Behind her, Cheek's voice grew distant, a desperate echo among the towering trees. Adaze knew she should feel sorrow for the pain she caused, yet a deeper terror urged her on, a primal force that she could not understand nor resist. It was as if the earth itself propelled her, deeper into its ancient secrets. Back in the village, the confusion was palpable. Neka, hands trembling, called upon the elder women. They gathered in a tight circle, murmurs floating like leaves in a whirlwind. With eyes closed and hands linked, they sought guidance from the ancestors, a beacon of wisdom in the chaos. "Something has unsettled the spirit world," murmured the oldest, her voice a thread of sound. "This is no simple flight of fear. This is a summoning." Meanwhile, Adaze burst through a particularly dense thicket and stumbled into a clearing. The sudden stillness was overwhelming. Panting, she looked around, her senses heightened. The air here was cooler, tinged with the scent of jasmine and something else, something ancient. A rustling sound caught her attention, and she turned to see an old woman emerging from the shadows of the trees. Her skin was like weathered parchment, and her eyes glinted with an otherworldly knowledge. Adaeze's breath caught in her throat. "Do not be afraid, child," the old woman said, her voice as soft as moth wings. "You have been brought here for a reason. The river in your dreams is real and its message urgent." Adaeze felt a chill despite the humid air. "What message? Why me?" "The river that flows through dreams connects us to the past and the future," the old woman explained, moving closer. "It has chosen you to receive its wisdom. You are to uncover what has been long buried, to heal a wound in the heart of your people." Adaeze's mind raced. The responsibility was immense, almost crushing. "How can I do this? I am no healer, just a bride." "Not just a bride," the old woman corrected gently. "A bridge. You connect worlds, Adaeze. That is your gift." The gravity of her role dawned on Adaeze, settling on her shoulders like a mantle. The woman reached out, her touch surprisingly warm, and handed Adaeze a small woven basket. Inside there were herbs, stones, and a vial of water that shimmered with an internal light. "These will aid you, but remember it is your courage and your heart that will guide you true." Adaeze nodded, her resolve hardening. She turned to look back the way she had come, knowing that the path behind her was closed. Ahead lay only the unknown, a path she must carve with her newfound purpose. With a deep breath she stepped forward, the old woman's words echoing in her heart. Each step took her deeper into the mysteries of the forest, away from the life she knew, toward a destiny that awaited her embrace. As Adaeze ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the trees seemed to lean closer, their branches weaving a protective canopy above her. Light filtered through the leaves in dappled patterns, painting the ground with shades of gold and green. With each step, the basket's contents rattled softly, a constant reminder of the task bestowed upon her. Back in Mwenye, Cheek and a band of villagers traced the path Adaeze had taken. Their progress was hindered by the thick underbrush and an inexplicable fog that seemed to rise from the very soil, cloaking their way in mist. Cheik's determination did not wane. His love for Adaeze fueled his pursuit, his worry for her safety sharpening his senses. Meanwhile, in the clearing where the elders gathered, a low hum of ancient chants filled the air. Neka, heart heavy with a mother's fear and hope, led the incantations, calling upon the spirits of their ancestors to watch over her daughter and guide her safely through whatever trials she might face. Adaeze reached a riverbank, the waters wide and whispering secrets as they flowed. She knelt, the coolness of the water a balm to her weary spirit. She opened the vial given by the old woman and poured its shimmering contents into the river. The water rippled, and a soft glow emanated from where the liquid had merged with the stream. "Spirits of the river, hear me," Adaeze spoke, her voice steady despite the fluttering of her heart. "I seek the wisdom to heal the wounds of my people. Show me the path that I must follow." As the last word left her lips, the water before her began to swirl, forming a whirlpool. Within its center, images appeared, visions of days long past, of laughter and sorrow woven together, of secrets buried deep within the heart of Mwenye. Adaeze watched, her eyes wide with wonder and fear, as one particular image solidified, a young woman much like herself, standing at the edge of the same river, her expression one of determination and dread. The scene shifted, showing the woman hiding a strange ornate object in a cave hidden behind the waterfall. The vision faded, and the river returned to its natural state, the message clear. Adaeze stood, a newfound resolve pulsing through her veins. She must find this cave, and the object that was so crucial, it had been concealed with such care. Without hesitation, she followed the river to where it cascaded over a cliff in a thunderous waterfall. Searching along the rocky wall, her fingers found the outline of a hidden entrance. Pushing against the stone, she felt it give way slightly, revealing the dark maw of a cave. Adaeze entered, her way lit only by the faint, eerie light that seemed to emanate from her very being. The cave, as the lid of the ancient box creaked open, a gust of wind, carrying whispers of forgotten languages, swirled around Adaeze, her eyes fixed upon the contents, a series of small, intricately carved stones, each etched with the elder scripts of Mwenye. These were not merely relics, they were talismans of speaking, known to bridge the realms of the living and the ancestors. With the stones now exposed to the mortal world, the air in the cave thickened, pulses of energy emanating from them, invisible waves. Adaise reached out, her fingertips barely grazing the cool surface of the nearest stone. Instantly, a connection formed, visions flooding her senses, overwhelming yet enlightening. She saw her village in times of abundance and despair, the ebb and flow of peace and turmoil. More urgently, she saw the fracture, a dark period forgotten by current generations, when a betrayal had led to a great division among her people. It was this unresolved pain that stifled their spirits, the ancestors now revealed. Armed with this knowledge, Adaise knew her task was to mend what had been broken. She carefully gathered the stones into her basket, their weight a tangible reminder of her responsibility. As she prepared to leave the cave, the whispering intensified, urging her to act swiftly. Meanwhile, Cheek and the search party reached the riverbank, their paths illuminated by the first streaks of dawn. The fog had lifted, revealing the lush wild beauty of the uncharted areas of the forest. They called out for Adaise, their voices a mix of hope and despair, echoing off the trees and water. Nneka, still at the village center, felt a sudden surge of hope. Her connection with Adaise, a maternal bond as deep as the roots of the baobab, pulsed with renewed strength. She sent forth a silent prayer, carried by the wind, hoping it would find her daughter and guide her home. Adaise, emerging from the cave, paused to let the cool air fill her lungs. The river beside her flowed with renewed vigor, as if celebrating the unearthing of its secrets. With the talisman safe, she knew her return was urgent. But first, she needed to harness the knowledge they contained to forge reconciliation. As she walked back towards the village, every step was guided by the pulsing of the talismans. The stones hummed with power, a symphony of the old world that strengthened her resolve. She passed through the forest, now not as a fugitive, but as a bearer of hope, her mission clear and her path set. Her arrival at the outskirts of the village was met with a mixture of awe and relief. Cheek, who had returned weary and disheartened, felt his heart leap at the sight of her. Their eyes met, a torrent of unspoken emotion swirling between them. He ran to her, questions on his lips, but paused, seeing the profound change in her demeanor. Adaise addressed the gathered villagers, her voice carrying the weight and wisdom of the ancestors. I have learned of our past, of the wounds we carry. With these talismans, we can speak to our ancestors, seek their guidance and heal, she declared, the stones now arrayed before her, glowing subtly under the morning sun. As the villagers absorbed Adaise's words, the atmosphere shifted, imbued with a mix of anticipation and reverence. The elders, with their lined faces and eyes that had seen many seasons, stepped forward. They encircled Adaise, their presence a testament to the weight of the moment. Obi, her father, approached with a solemn nod, his expression a blend of pride and concern. He placed his hand on her shoulder, a silent gesture of support. We trust in your vision, Adaise, he said, his voice steady. Lead us in this rite of reconciliation. The village square, under the spreading branches of the sacred baobab, became the stage for the ceremony. Women adorned in vibrant textiles began to weave a tapestry of song, their voices rising in harmonious unison. Men prepared the sacred fire, its flames flickering like ancestral spirits come to witness the event. Nneka, holding a bundle of herbs and incense, began to circle the gathering, purifying the space with fragrant smoke. The talismans, now placed at the base of the baobab, glowed softly, responding to the chants and the rhythmic drumming that filled the air. Adaise stood before the fire, the light dancing in her eyes. She lifted her hands, holding one of the carved stones aloft. Ancestors of Mwenye, we call upon you, she intoned, her voice clear and strong. Guide us to heal the rift that has troubled our people. A hush fell over the assembly as a breeze rustled through the leaves, carrying with it a palpable sense of presence. The flames of the fire flickered and then steadied, their glow intensifying. The talismans pulsed in unison, and a gentle hum emanated from them, resonating with the songs and chants. In this sacred space, the villagers began to share their stories, tales of grievances, lost kinships, and old misunderstandings. Each story was a thread in the fabric of their collective history, and as they spoke, the atmosphere became one of catharsis and connection. Adaise moved among them, the talismans in her hands acting as conduits for the ancestral voices. When she touched each person with the stones, a profound sense of understanding and forgiveness seemed to flow through them. The air shimmered with unseen energies, the ancestors weaving their wisdom into the hearts of the living. As night descended, the fire burned brighter, casting long shadows that danced like spirits around the square. The village, once fragmented by unseen wounds, began to feel the first stirrings of unity. Adaez, now at the center of this transformation, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The spirits had not only revealed the past, but had also shown the path to a harmonious future. Cheek, watching from the edge of the gathering, felt a renewed sense of admiration and love for Adaez. He approached her, his presence a comforting anchor. "Together, we will guide our people," he said softly, his hand finding hers. The elders, witnessing the power of the reconciliation, stepped forward to offer their blessings. One by one, they touched the talismans, their ancient eyes reflecting the rekindled hope of their lineage. They murmured prayers and blessings, their words weaving into the fabric of the night, carried on the wind to the ears of the ancestors. The celebration continued, with feasting and dancing, the village alive with joy and renewed bonds. Adaez, standing by the sacred baobab, felt the spirit of her ancestors surrounding her, their approval a warm embrace. As the stars glittered above, the villagers of Mwenye knew that they had embarked on a path of healing and unity, guided by the wisdom of their ancestors and the courage of a young woman who had listened to the whispers of the river and the echoes of the past. The celebrations continued deep into the night, the villagers of Mwenye unified in a way they hadn't been for generations. Laughter and music echoed through the village, carrying with them a sense of newfound hope and kinship. The sacred fire at the heart of the gathering crackled and sparked, its warmth a beacon of communal rebirth. Adaez stood with Cheek at the edge of the square, the glow of the fire illuminating their faces. Their hands were intertwined, their connection fortified by the events of the day. Cheik's gaze was filled with admiration and love, his heart swelling with pride for his betrothed. "You have given our people a great gift, Adaez," he said softly, his voice carrying the weight of his emotions. "The ancestors themselves have chosen you to lead us." Adaez nodded, feeling the magnitude of her responsibility, but also the strength that came with it. "We are all chosen," she replied. "Every villager, every elder, every child. Together, we will forge a new path." The night grew deeper, the sky a tapestry of stars twinkling like ancestral eyes watching over them. The villagers began to drift away, returning to their homes with hearts lightened and spirits lifted. The square gradually emptied, leaving only the embers of the sacred fire and the whispering leaves of the baobab tree. As the quiet of the night settled in, Adaeze and Cheek made their way to the riverbank, where the water's gentle murmur created a soothing symphony. They sat together on a smooth stone, the cool breeze of the night air wrapping around them like a protective cloak. In the stillness, Adaeze could feel the presence of the river spirits, their whispers no longer fearful but comforting. She closed her eyes, allowing the sounds and sensations to wash over her. It was here by the water that she felt the closest to the source of her strength and the wisdom of her ancestors. Cheek's arm around her shoulders provided a reassuring warmth. "What do you see for our future?" he asked quietly, his voice a gentle rumble. Adaeze opened her eyes, gazing at the river that had become such a central part of her journey. "I see unity," she said, her voice firm. "I see a village where old wounds are healed and new bonds are forged, where the past guides us but does not bind us." Cheik nodded, his heart aligned with her vision. "We will face it together," he said, "as one people, one heart." As dawn approached, the first light of morning began to touch the horizon, casting a soft glow over the landscape. The world seemed to hold its breath, caught in the delicate balance between night and day. Adaeze and Cheik rose, knowing that with the new day came new challenges and opportunities. Returning to the village, they were greeted by the sight of their people beginning to stir. The elders were already at work, discussing plans for the future, while the younger generation, inspired by the previous night's events, prepared to take on the tasks that lay ahead. Adaeze felt a surge of pride as she observed the bustling activity. Her village was not just surviving, it was thriving. The spirit of Mwenye was alive, vibrant, and ready to embrace whatever the future held. With Cheek by her side, Adaeze stepped forward, ready to lead her people with the strength and wisdom bestowed upon her by the ancestors. She knew that the path ahead would not always be easy, but with unity and courage, they would create a legacy that honored their past and built a brighter future. The morning sun rose higher, casting its golden light over the village. Under its radiant glow, Mwenya stood as a testament to resilience, hope, and the enduring power of community. As the sun climbed higher, the village of Mwenya awoke to a new day filled with purpose. The air buzzed with the renewed energy of a community determined to heal and grow. Adaes and Chike moved among their people, lending their hands and hearts to the tasks at hand. Elder Obina, a man whose wisdom was as deep as the roots of the ancient baobab, called for a council meeting. The elders gathered in the central hut, its walls adorned with the symbols and stories of their ancestors. Adaeza, now recognized as a bridge between the past and the present, sat among them, her presence a reminder of the village's recent awakening. Obina spoke first, his voice carrying the authority of his years. We must continue the work Adaez has begun. Our history is a tapestry woven with both triumph and sorrow. It is time to honor every thread and ensure the fabric of our community remains strong. The elders nodded in agreement. They discussed ways to document their history, to teach the young ones the stories that shaped their identity. Adaez suggested a festival to celebrate their heritage, a time for storytelling, dance, and the sharing of wisdom. We can invite neighboring villages, she added, her eyes bright with the vision. Let them see our unity and learn from our experiences. Together, we can strengthen the bonds of our entire region. The council embraced her idea with enthusiasm, plans quickly taking shape. The next weeks were a flurry of activity, with everyone contributing to the preparations. Women wove new garments adorned with symbols of unity, while men crafted masks and instruments for the dances. Children practiced songs and stories, eager to perform before the gathering. As the day of the festival approached, the village square was transformed into a vibrant celebration of culture and community. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, and the aroma of delicious foods filled the air. The sacred fire was rekindled, its flame symbolizing the enduring spirit of Mwenye. Visitors from neighboring villages arrived, their curiosity piqued by the tales of Mwenye's transformation. They were greeted with warmth and hospitality, their presence a testament to the growing unity among the communities. The festival began with the elders sharing ancient stories, their voices weaving a tapestry of the past. Each tale was a thread connecting the listeners to their heritage, reminding them of the strength and resilience of their ancestors. As the sun set, the dancing began. Drums beat a rhythm that resonated deep within the soul, calling everyone to move as one. Adaez and Chika danced with the festival's echoes fading into cherished memories. The village of Mwenye settled into a rhythm of renewal. The bonds forged during the celebrations had strengthened the community, and a sense of purpose permeated the air. The days that followed were filled with laughter, work, and a collective resolve to build upon the foundations laid by the ancestors. One afternoon, as Adaez walked along the familiar paths of the village, she noticed a stranger at the edge of the forest. The figure, cloaked in dark robes, stood motionless, as if observing the village from a distance. Instinctively, Adaez approached, her curiosity piqued. As she neared, the stranger turned, revealing a face etched with age and wisdom. His eyes, dark and penetrating, met hers with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. "Greetings, wise one," Adaez began, her voice respectful but firm. "What brings you to Mwenye?" The old man's voice was gravelly, carrying the weight of many years. "I am Obadel, a keeper of histories. I have traveled far to find this place, drawn by the whispers of the ancestors." Adaez felt a mixture of caution and intrigue. "What histories do you seek?" Obadel's gaze swept over the village, taking in the signs of renewal and unity. "There is a story long forgotten, buried deep within the sands of time. It is a tale of betrayal and redemption, one that holds the key to a deeper understanding of your heritage." Adaez nodded, sensing the gravity of his words. "Come, let us speak with the elders. They too are keepers of our past." Obadel followed her to the council hut, where the elders gathered in their usual place of deliberation. His presence immediately drew their attention, and as Adaez introduced him, they listened intently to his tale. "The story I bring is one of the ancient rift that divided your people," Obadel began. "Many generations ago, two brothers, leaders of your ancestors, quarreled over the rightful path for the village. Their discord grew until it split the community, creating a schism that has lingered in your bloodlines." The elders exchanged glances, the weight of the revelation settling over them like a heavy cloak. Obadel continued. "One brother, Adebayo, sought unity through tradition and spiritual guidance. The other, Olumide, believed in progress through external alliances and change. Their conflict, unresolved, cast a shadow that still affects you today. Elder Obina's voice broke the silence. We have felt the remnants of this. In the days that followed the reconciliation ceremony, a sense of peace and optimism settled over Mwenye. The villagers carried out their daily tasks with renewed vigor, their hearts lightened by the ceremony's success. The unity fostered by the ritual became evident in every interaction, from shared meals to communal work in the fields. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the village, Adaeza and Chike gathered with the elders around the sacred fire. They were joined by Obadel, who had chosen to stay in Mwenye, his wisdom and knowledge invaluable to the community. Elder Obina, his face illuminated by the flickering flames, spoke first. We have taken the first steps towards healing our past, but to ensure our future, we must continue to honor our traditions and adapt to new challenges. Obadel nodded, his gaze thoughtful. The spirit of reconciliation must be woven into every aspect of village life. This is not the end, but the beginning of a continuous effort to maintain harmony and growth. Adaez, inspired by their words, proposed a new tradition, an annual festival of rebirth. This celebration would not only honor the ancestors, but also mark the progress of the village, blending old customs with new practices to symbolize their unity. The elders and villagers embraced the idea enthusiastically. Preparations began for the inaugural festival, set to coincide with the coming harvest, a time of abundance and gratitude. The days leading up to the event were filled with vibrant activity. Women crafted intricate decorations and garments, while men constructed stages and prepared feasts. Children practiced dances and songs that told the stories of their heritage and hopes for the future. On the day of the festival, Mwenye transformed into a kaleidoscope of color and sound. The village square, adorned with vibrant banners and floral arrangements, buzzed with excitement. As the sun rose, casting its warm light over the scene, the celebration began. The opening ceremony featured the elders recounting tales of the village's history, their voices weaving a rich tapestry of triumph and struggle. Adaez and Cheek, dressed in ceremonial attire that symbolized the unity of tradition and progress, led the villagers in a dance that celebrated life, love, and community. The highlight of the festival was a grand procession to the river where the reconciliation ceremony had first begun. Adaez carried the talismans, their glow a beacon of the ancestors' blessings. At the riverbank, she placed the stones in the water. As the seasons turned and the years passed, the village of Mwenye flourished under the united leadership of Adaez and Chaik. Their efforts in fostering harmony and progress resonated through every aspect of village life, creating a legacy that intertwined the wisdom of the past with the aspirations of the future. On the eve of the 10th annual Festival of Rebirth, the village was alive with preparation. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the sounds of laughter and music. The tradition had grown, drawing visitors from far and wide, all eager to partake in the celebration of unity and renewal that Mwenye had become renowned for. In the center of the bustling square, Adaez and Chaika stood side by side, overseeing the final touches. Their bond, strengthened by years of shared triumphs and challenges, was evident in their synchronized movements and shared glances. The festival had become a symbol of their journey and the village's resilience. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the village, the festival began. The opening ceremony was a grand spectacle, with elders recounting the stories of Mwenye's origins and the journey of reconciliation that had transformed their community. Elder Obina, now stooped with age but his voice still strong, addressed the gathering. Today, we honor the spirits of our ancestors and celebrate the unity that binds us. Let this festival remind us of the power of togetherness and the enduring strength of our heritage. Adaez stepped forward, carrying the talismans that had played such a pivotal role in their journey. She held them aloft, their glow illuminating her face. These stones are more than relics. They are the heart of our village, the link between our past and future. Let us honor them by living in the spirit of unity and love. As she placed the talismans at the base of the sacred baobab, a hush fell over the crowd. The tree, a silent witness to countless generations, seemed to pulse with life, its leaves rustling as if in approval. The villagers began their dance, a rhythmic celebration of life and community. Drums beat a hypnotic cadence, and the air filled with the melodies of songs passed down through generations. Adaze and Cheek joined the dance, their movements fluid and graceful, embodying the spirit of the festival. As the night deepened, the village square was illuminated by